Good day, good morning, wherever we are in the world. It's deadline stream time, Singapore's Grand Prix. Thank you all for showing up. We have a lot of people here already. Say hi if you are here. We're live both on Twitch and YouTube. It's time. I'm wearing my Ferrari shirt, not because I'm expecting Ferrari to do well. It was just a fit. Jillian, hello from Aberdeen. Oz, hello. Michael, hello. Welcome back. Is it over to Fosi Bros? Yeah, I think it might be. You came in right on Beatlo? Like, I didn't plan it. Like, you guys should know by now. This is what I live for. Hello from New Zealand. That's far away. Hello, Carlos. Hello, Nick. On Twitch, who do we have? We have Rye, welcome. Faye Alonso, welcome, first time chatter. I'm good today, Didn't have to rush from work, I've actually managed to sleep in, you know. Ferrari fan from Darkside, yep. Hello from wet and windy Wales. It is wet and windy here in Sweden as well, I can assure you that. It is stormy over here. I will warn you, I do have warnings in my area for potential like power shortages or power outages. So there is a chance that everything just dies, but hopefully it's fine. Storm in southern Norway, yeah, it's storm here in Sweden as well, and it's gonna get worse throughout the afternoon. Hello from Göteborg, hello Philip. Also from New Zealand. How's the FPL team looking? I'll actually make an FPL video because I'm wildcarding in Game Week 8, so I will actually make an FPL video for once in the coming week. Hey Buzz, how's it going? It's going well, I'm feeling good, Well, I'm interested to see where you go with the Williams team. This is the team I have currently, it's not the team I'm ending up with, Loxolotl. Now, before we get the show on the road, quick plug, make sure to subscribe if you haven't already on YouTube. If you're on Twitch, make sure to follow the stream. And if you have Amazon Prime, you can sub for free once per month and ensure that you get priority when it comes to team submissions. Team submissions, we're doing slightly different today. I'm going to lower the music slightly. We're doing team submissions slightly different today. You might have noticed if you tried to go in earlier today and post something that you couldn't post in the team submission channel. Well, that's because last time, we've had the team submission channel like always open with like a 2-hour delay on it. That's down in the Discord, by the way, link in the YouTube description. So how we do team submissions now is that I close the channel and don't open it until I start the stream. So the stream is actually open, and this is to ensure that because sometimes I've had it be that people post their team submissions earlier in the morning, like 4 hours before the stream starts, and then they're not there for the deadline stream, and it feels weird to review a team of someone who's not here when there are people who are here waiting for their team to be reviewed, because I know I can't get to all teams. So if you want your team reviewed at top of the hour, so in 55 minutes approximately, join the Discord, link in the description below, and you can now, the team submissions channel is now open, meaning you can post your team submission there. So make sure you do that, and if you're either a member on YouTube or you are a subscriber on Twitch, you get priority, and we do your team submissions first. Just like Loxolotl just did, resubscribed. Thank you so much for the 2-month subscription. That's very, very kind. Sammy Dog, thank you so much for the follow on Twitch. Hello from Norway, hello from Sri Lanka. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Mercedes over Ferrari, unexpected. Not entirely unexpected, but we'll have to see. It's not called Amazon Prime anymore, it's now called Luna. Why? That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Is that actually a thing? Why? That's like when HBO Max changed the name from HBO Max to Max. Like, why is it... That's the name of my cat. Like, come on. That's the name of my cat. It's not, whatever. Oh, well, if you have Luna on the... it's gonna be Amazon Prime. Like, this is like changing Twitter to X. Like, no, it's Twitter. Like, it's Twitter. Lewis penalty incoming, better or worse for Ferrari? Worse. Any penalty to any team this weekend, apart from, like, you know, backmarker teams that end up like starting 20th is bad. Like, you don't want your team to start like P10. Oh, and also like the stream on YouTube. Yes, thank you so much, Elvis, for reminding me. I always forget to do that. 27 likes with 200 people here. Come on, we could do slightly better than that. Alright, before we start talking about what I'm actually doing with this team, we're going to do F1 Predict. We always do that at the start of the stream before everyone has gotten into it. So that the people who join 10 minutes late don't miss the important bits of the show. Hype the stream, which is new too. There's so many new stuff. I don't know what that means. What is that? Can you hype a stream? Sure, hype the stream if you can do that. There's so many new things that I just don't know about. What's this? Members only live stream? Yeah, I'm not doing that. Close. Okay. Watching from the poolside in Egypt. That sounds nice. That sounds nice. 2A constructors or 2A drivers? 2A constructors is definitely my my preference. Alright, predict the podium. I mean, we're just gonna do this, yeah? Maybe get a cheeky Russell in there. I'm gonna do this just because that gives a good solid chunk of points, and I do think Russell has a solid chance to get it this week. Always 2x on this one because it gives the most points. Who will take pole position? Mosquito? I didn't know those were still alive. Oh, actually, I did catch it, by the way. That was not just like a grab in the air out of nowhere. I did actually just full-on ninja catch that thing. Piastri, sure. We'll do Piastri. Actually, I know better by now. Who will qualify highest for the Grand Prix? Ocon holds a narrow 9 to 8 edge over Behrman in qualifying. Well, this is just a toss-up. I'm just going to pick Behrman here because he gives more points. How many teams will get a car into... Actually, I'm going to pick Ocon because Ocon was actually pretty good in practice yesterday. I remember him actually putting in decent times. We'll do Ocon. How many teams will get a car? Actually, what was Ocon here? He was above Behrman. Just barely. Oh my god, that's so even. How many teams will get a car into Q3? We're just gonna do... Do we expect Kimi and Yuki to both make it? Both Ferraris to make it? Actually, maybe. I think 7 is just the safest bet. It's usually 6 or 7, yeah. That was not on purpose. I did not mean to make that joke, okay? That's Nixie's fault. That's Nixie's fault. I refuse to acknowledge this meme. That was not on purpose. But it is usually 6 or 7. I'm so unbelievably sorry. Okay, we're gonna pick 7. I hate it here. I hate it here. Activation zone. Hey Rain, do you want to see which team you need to beat in the points this weekend? Yes, please. Sammy Dog, welcome to Twitch. First time chatter. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good day, Fraser. Our mogul of the stream shows up to flex his cash. I think you're actually gonna get some use out of your budget today. I feel like Max Verstappen, Piastri teams are gonna be really good. Who will finish ahead in the race? I'm gonna pick Sainz. Who will set the fastest pit stop time of the race? I'm gonna pick Red Bull. Red Bull have been good recently. I picked Ferrari this entire year, and they haven't really performed in the last couple of races. So let's do Red Bull. When will the safety car or VSC first be deployed in the Grand Prix? I mean, this is just pure guessing game, right? Before end of lap 1. Do we think someone shunts it? I mean, this is not happening. It is happening at some point. Is this because of the pit times? Why is this 10 points? Or is it just most likely? I'm unsure. Considering dropping Ferrari for Williams and Albon for Max, would be Piastri, Max, Sainz, Hadjar, Bortoleto. I think it's better to have Piastri, McLaren, Red Bull than Piastri, Max, McLaren, Williams. Got 30-ish points loss rate. Hate the stupid game. Yeah, that I know a lot of people were on that sort of point score last weekend. I'm gonna say in general this week, I think two premium constructors will be better than 2 premium drivers. This is just pure guesswork. I'm just gonna say before lap. I'm just gonna say something happens on lap 1, right? 15 points, I'll take it. Fastest lap time. Ugh. These are so difficult to predict. 25 points for Max Verstappen. Sign me up. Which team will score more points this weekend? Ooh, I don't think it's Ferrari. I think it's Mercedes or Red Bull. I think it depends where Kimi and Yuki. I think it's gonna be a Kimi versus Yuki type of thing. Let's say my prediction of the podium comes true, and Max is second, George is third. Where's Kimi? Where's Yuki in that? I'm just gonna say Red Bull Racing, 20 points. Sure, I believe in the Max. I believe in Max. Will we see a new winner? Norris, Sainz, Hamilton, Alonso have won before. Max Verstappen has not. Yeah, I think Piastri or Max is winning, so I'm gonna say yes. I'm gonna say yes. Finish. There we go. That's my F1 predict done. So let's get into the grimy, like, let's dig our hands into this problem we have right now. We have some potential chips being played this week. I think Autopilot is good if you have two premium drivers, as always, right? I think DNF risk seems high. I think a lot of things could happen in terms of DNFs across the board. That's gonna mess up our plans. I think a very, very decent shout, if you don't care about budget, is Fernando Alonso. Granted, he was only 15th in FP3, but he was really fast in FP1 and FP2, and I think he's a very high differential. Let me bring up F1 Fantasy Tools right now. So, if you haven't watched, I do have a video that I posted during the summer break on my channel, where I talked about like how to win with a lower budget, and how you win with a lower budget is playing differential to the people you're trying to chase. And I know in-game, like actual in-game, Fernando Alonso is owned by 35% of people, but this is dead teams. Like 35% of people, that's people who don't play anymore, who are really low down the rank. If you actually look at the elite data, and this is one of my favorite sites, it's actually my favorite sites over the budget builder on F1 Fantasy Tools, and it talks about like how highly owned assets are in the top 500. Either Patron 500, which is people who are subscribed to the Patron on F1 Fantasy Tools, meaning that they usually are pretty high skilled managers or strategists. I would say now that we get to the end part of the season, like early on in the season, Patron 500 is the better sort of, you know, way to actually look at the meta, because it's not those people who've like just slammed all their chips for 6 weeks, and you know, they're obviously going to be in the top if they do that. Now I think it's better to look at the Global 500, because we're getting to the end point of the season where the Global 500 and the Patron 500 are going to be very similar. And at this point, I don't really care if you're a patron to F1 Fantasy Tools. If you're top 500 with 7 races to go, you're a very, very solid strategist, right? So I prefer the Global 500 from now on to the end of the season. And you can see here that Alonso, if we go by pick percentage here, Alonso's only owned by 6.2%. Russell's only owned by 5.4%. Stroll's only owned by 2.4%. Like, Hulkenberg owned by 2.2%. If you're looking for differentials to own to climb in rank, Ocon, 1.4%. These are the type of drivers that you need to pick in your teams. Even though they're going to drop in price, stop caring about that. It's the end of the season. If you're chasing someone, like, you're not going to chase everyone. I think everyone's going to buy Sainz this week. He's owned by 36.6% already. A lot of people are buying him. Granted, some people, including myself, might have to buy him just because of the price range that he is at. But if you're someone who's running like a 3A lineup, we're talking like a Piastri or Norris or Verstappen plus 2 premium constructors, and you have like an Albon plus something else, like you're slightly lower on the budget end, maybe like 128 million around that mark, and you can't afford a 4A lineup. I do think you shouldn't look towards a Sainz and a Lawson or a Bortoleto. Like 63.8% of people have Bortoleto. You are going to gain rank when Bortoleto DNFs and you have someone like Hulkenberg instead. And I know Hulkenberg is more expensive, but like that's how you play differential in the game from here on out to the end of the season. And I think Alonso, with how, you know, good he looked early on in the weekend, I think he could definitely be someone who pops up with a surprising score. Granted, he's going to drop 0.6 million in price, very, very likely. But at this point in the season, you kind of got to stop caring about that a bit. It depends also where you're at in budget. Where I'm at in budget, I can afford a 4A lineup, meaning that I kind of have to have the likes of Hadjar, I kind of have to have the likes of Bortoleto and Sainz and Lawson, because those are the assets that I can afford with that lineup. And I still think it's better than to go for the 4A lineup with the highly owned cheap assets, rather than trying to play differential and having like a Hulkenberg, Ocon, you know, Alonso team, Stroll team. But with that said, that is for my budget point. If you're higher than me or a bit lower than me, I think it's worth considering at least. I think I'm like at the perfect, like, I think I'm at a really, really good budget point. I think the most difficult budget point to actually play the game right now is at like 130 million. If you're like 2 or 3 million below where I'm at, I think that's really, really difficult. Is Elite Data updated live or after the deadlines? After the deadlines. We have no way to check what they're doing. So it's a really good question, Pontus. But this is what it looked like after Azerbaijan. So the Elite Data is updated after the weekend. So we don't know what type of transfers people have made so far. I'm new to FL Fantasy, my budget 105 million. Yeah, at 105 million, obviously your playstyle is entirely different. You can't... I don't even know if you can do 2 premium constructors, 1 premium driver at that point. Maybe you have to do... maybe you have to have like a McLaren Williams or a McLaren V-Carb, something like that. I mean, it's a different game you're playing, right? You're not really competing against the global 500 at that point either. I think it's really good, by the way, to be a new player at the end point of a season, because you learn how the game works, and then for the start of next season, you're ready. I think a very common mistake that people make is being like, oh, I'm not gonna start playing because the season's almost over. And then they're like, oh, I'm gonna be on it. I'm gonna start, you know, at the beginning of the year next year. And then they either forget, or they start playing, but they don't know what they're doing, and then they make a bunch of mistakes early, and then they stop playing it because they're so far behind, right? I think it's actually really, really good to be someone like Vola and actually just start playing. I know your budget is going to be way, way lower, but you're playing a different game, and especially if you start with a bunch of friends and everyone starts with 100 million, and you're like playing a little mini-league together, I think that could be really, really fun. And Elite is updated after quali, no? Yes, that is correct, William. Sorry, yeah, it is updated after quali. After the deadline is what I meant to say. After the deadline, yeah. What's the best team at 131 million budget? Yeah, this is what I was talking about before I got slightly distracted. I think the hardest budget to play right now is like 130, 131 million. Because you can stretch to a 4A lineup, but you kind of have to do it with like a Colapinto or Gasly in there. You can't really stretch to those better, cheap assets like Hadjar, like Bortoleto, like Lawson, like Sainz. And I think that makes you very unflexible with how you play it. So you can either play like a 4A lineup with Alpine drivers in there, or you can play a 3A lineup with Albon and have some extra budget to play around with in the bank. And I think it's really, really close which one is actually better. I think it's going to be a very much track-by-track basis but I by far think that's... like, if your budget is at 130 million, I think it's very difficult to play the game right now because you have so many choices to go for. Whereas, like, if you're at my budget or slightly higher, it's very obvious. You just go for 4A, pick Hadjar, pick Bortoleto, pick Sainz, pick Lawson. If you can upgrade someone else, you do that. If you're lower than 130 million, 4A is sort of out of your wheelhouse anyway, so just go for a 3A lineup and play around, be fun with it, get Albon, get the likes of... You can start picking those differentials like Hulkenberg, like Ocon, and actually, you know, I don't care about budget anymore. I'm stuck with a 3A plus Albon until the end of the season. I'm just gonna pick, you know, the Ocon and Hulkenbergs and hope that, you know, one of them can pop up with a P7 and a good solid 15 score, right? While someone like a Bortoleto or Lawson or Sainz, DNF, and everyone who had them is completely in the mud, right? But I do think 130 million is the hardest, is actually the hardest budget range to play with right now, because you'd like just below being able to afford a really good 4A lineup, right? 130.1, yeah, 130.9 exactly. I think I wouldn't... I'm not envious of your situation, right? Lol, I'm exactly the situation describing. 131 million exactly. I've thought a lot about this, because I'm finding it difficult to afford my team. Okay, let's actually talk about my team, because we've just talked about general things for the first like 15 minutes. But I'm feeling like I'm in a mode right now. I'm spitting knowledge right now. I'm feeling good about myself. Okay. Anyway, my conundrum. Okay, obviously I don't think I'm going for Ferrari anyway. But with my budget lineup, and this is why I've been thinking about this so much, is that right now, I cannot afford Leclerc, Ferrari plus 3 good lineups here, unless I take a minus hit to take out Hadjar for Sainz, Lawson here, right? Meaning I'm really close to affording Leclerc, Ferrari. Granted, I don't think I want Leclerc, Ferrari in this race anyway. But that's why I've been thinking so much about it, because I'm finding it like a little bit difficult to be able to afford whatever I want. Now, again, I don't think Ferrari Leclerc is what I want this week, but I can't really go for it in good faith. And it just got me thinking about, like, damn, if I was 2 million poorer, right? If I had 2 million less in my cost cap, this would be way, way more difficult to actually make a decision. Now, what my plans are, Ferrari look bad. Wait, okay, I have not seen, did Leclerc get a penalty for slamming into Norris in FP2 yesterday. Best team for 125 million. Like no, Piastri or Verstappen plus McLaren and one other premium constructor plus Albon. He did not. Okay, why? Did he just get a... Okay, Leclerc got a fine. I feel like that should have been a penalty. But okay, anyway. Lewis is under investigation today. I saw that. Just a fine, just a fine. Thank you so much. I definitely missed that yesterday. Anyway, even with that just being a fine and not a grid penalty, I have not been convinced by Ferrari this weekend. Granted, I was convinced by Ferrari last weekend and they stunk the place out, so maybe they're going to be really good. I don't know. I think I'm using all 3 of my transfers to go for... I'm just gonna do this so you can see clearly. I'm keeping these 3, selling these 3. I want a second premium constructor. I don't want to have Williams anymore, okay? I would love to slot Verstappen in here alongside Piastri, and I do think Piastri-Verstappen teams, plus like this, or you know, depending on how rich you are, is really good if you're like a Fraser type of rich, where you're at like 137 million. I think something like this, or even something like this, is really, really powerful this week. And I'm very, very jealous of the people who have this, or have the option to go for this. I can't do it, obviously, because I have 3.9 million here, without taking a hit to take Hadjar out, and then I'm also including an Alpine driver. So unfortunately, this is a bit out of my wheelhouse. Therefore, I'm switching it around because it's cheaper to do that and go for Red Bull plus Russell. That gives me 7 million to play around with for the final driver, which means I can just slot in Carlos Sainz here. Anyone from Lawson or Sainz. I'm not buying Lawson this week because he's crashed twice. I think if you have Lawson, he worries me. I don't think it's a must sell, but I wouldn't go so far to buy him this week, especially not over someone like Sainz who's actually performed well in practice. So I think this is just going to be my team this week. Can you do a 100 million budget team? I can't really do it for every budget range, Jace, but I would go on to F1 Fantasy Tools and just team calculator and then select your budget. So if you have 108 million, you just slot that in there, and then you can select by post FP2 or post FP3 whenever FP3 sims drop. By the way, let me know in the chat down below when that happens. JC just asked, yeah, are we getting post FP3 sims? I don't actually know. I don't keep track if we're actually getting FP3 sims a lot. I let chat look at that. Caladori, by the way, thank you so much for the prime. I missed that 11 minutes ago. Last week again, 100 points on the family rival. Thanks, Rain. You're welcome. I think that's all you though, not me. Do we believe the Mercedes pace? I mean, I believe it more than the Ferrari pace. Mercedes or Red Bull today? Over Ferrari, I think so. I prefer them. But yeah, so what you can do, Jace, is just go to F1 Fantasy Tools, Team Calculator, put in your budgets, and see what they suggest. And I would not just copy this, but I would use this as a guideline, right, to what you want to do. Obviously, I wouldn't rip up your entire team and take a minus 40 to do this. Just like, look at this. Okay, these are the drivers that F1 Fantasy Tools expect to do well. How can I build a good team with it? I do think something like McLaren, like double McLaren plus a cheap constructor is probably the best way to play it. Antonelli or Albon? I was thinking of a similar team, but can't afford Russell. I would go for Albon, actually. I think he is more secure as a driver. I prefer Albon. Mercedes or Red Bull? That's the question. I think it entirely depends on what budget you're at. Because I would prefer... Okay, here's the T. I would prefer Verstappen plus Mercedes over Russell plus Red Bull. I just can't afford it. Okay? Does that make sense? So, if you're asking me like, oh, do I go for Mercedes or do I go for Red Bull? Well, it depends on what can you do with that extra budget you save. And if I could go for Verstappen plus Mercedes, I would do that over going for Russell and Red Bull. But I can't afford that. Is minus 20 okay with no wildcard? It's a bit hefty. It's a bit hefty. I would go for minus 10 at most. Minus 10 from Ferrari to Mercedes? Possible. What's your ideal 3A lineup? Probably Piastri or Norris, depending on who you want to go for. McLaren, and then either Red Bull, Ferrari, or Mercedes, whichever one you want to go for there. Again, it depends on your budget. And then Albon, plus 3 cheap assets. I think that's the best, my ideal 3A lineup. And obviously, like, that was not a conclusive answer, because I'd said, basically just pick two premium constructors is my ideal 3A lineup. And not like McLaren, Williams, Piastri, Verstappen. I think slotting in that extra constructor seems good. You could -10 board down to Gasly and then have Mercedes first. Yes, but I don't want to do that. I don't want to take a -10. And I also don't want to take a -10 to then have Gasly. Which 3 premiums? I would say either Norris or Piastri, definitely McLaren, and then depending on your budget and what kind of cheap drivers you want to afford, it depends on the constructor side. Literally, I think I would prefer Red Bull Racing over Ferrari, and they're very similar in price. But between Red Bull Racing and Mercedes, it entirely depends on what other assets. Because if you're slotting in Ferrari or Red Bull Racing, and then running double Alpine, I would say, no, why are you doing that? Go Mercedes and pick Sainz, Bortoleto, Hadjar instead, right? So that's my question there. Would you take Mercedes plus Verstappen with Gasly? Yes, but I wouldn't take a hit for it. Or stay RB Russell with Hadjar. Either could work, like, realistically. That's the thing. Like, I could go for this. But this is a -10 hit for me. And I get a Gasly in here, which I'm not very excited about. If you can get to this for free without taking a hit, I think that's fine. I think that's definitely a play you can make. Like, I'm shitting on the Alpine drivers, but they're not that bad if you can afford what you want. I wouldn't go for double Alpine probably ever, but one Alpine driver slotting in is fine. It's just, I don't want to take a -10 for it, especially because Hadjar's actually been quite good, and I could see him getting a P7 result today. So for me, I'm gonna stick to free transfers. I think sticking to free transfers as much as possible is usually, I mean, it is what's gonna be this far, right? I would have to take a -20 for the Merc Verstappen move. Sounds expensive. Yeah, that's really expensive. I wouldn't go for that. I think it's going to be much closer than people think. Also, my team just reset for no reason. Love it when it does that. I like having my drivers in order of, like, cheapest to most expensive. Or just, like, sorted in a way where it's easy to see. Sumit, thank you so much for the 5 for the super chat. No message though. If you leave a message, I'll make sure to read it. Thank you so much. That's very, very kind of you. If you haven't already, we're about halfway into this, half an hour into the stream. We're about 300 people live currently on YouTube. Thank you so much for that. That's a lot of people late on in the season. 68 likes though. You can do better than that. You can definitely do better than that. There's like 250 of you who haven't liked the stream. I feel like that's a bit insulting. I'm just saying. Anyway, I think I'm doing this week. Granted, things could still change, but this is where my head is at. Disappointing. Yeah. Drop. Drop. Oh, we don't have to be mean. Is triple Red Bull insanity? Yes. I think picking Yuki's a bit of an insanity. I think Yuki has gotten to the point where it's okay to own the Red Bull Racing constructor. I wouldn't go so far as to picking Yuki just yet. It's comedy. Morning from the US. Morning. The constant reset just started this week. Annoying. Yeah, I've not had that problem before, but it's really been annoying. I had it happen like during the recording. If you watched my team selection video. Why Red Bull and not Mercedes? Because I want Max Verstappen points. And I think Red Bull can outscore Mercedes with Max getting a podium. I think Max is podium bound. Love Yuki, but he's too expensive on his own for the points he brings in. Yes, correct. I 100% agree. Does your team set you up for Coda? If so, what chip are you using next race? 3X? I don't think I'm using my 3X in Coda. Because I want my 3X to be on either Piastri Verstappen or Piastri Norris. and that's not a team I can afford just yet. I think I'm not using 3x in Coda and like not going any chip in Coda, and then using my 3x either in a non-rainy Brazil or in Qatar. Albon keeps spinning and doesn't look comfortable behind the Williams. Still keep him. I think he seems... Albon has just been quite secure this year in general. I agree he's not looked super comfortable. I wouldn't perhaps be the person to like rush out to buy him, but I still trust him more than I trust Kimi, and Kimi's been good. Best B tier constructor? Probably Racing Bulls. Actually, no, Lawson's in the Racing Bulls, and Lawson looks weird. Is it Williams? 17. Dude, I didn't even notice. Williams is at 17.3 million. They're almost an A tier constructor. That's actually crazy. Williams could hit A tier constructor this year. 18.5 million. They're just gonna keep increasing 0.6. Aston, sure. I mean, it's probably Aston, maybe. I think all of them have like their flaws, right? Racing Bulls looks good, but Lawson looks a bit shaky. Albon, I mean, the price of Williams is just much higher than the others, so you have to take that into account. And Albon has not been, again, super comfortable. I don't think it's anything to worry about necessarily, but that's a problem for Williams. Haas is Haas, you know, they're just middle of the ground always. Kick Sauber is Kick Sauber. You don't pick Alpine, and then Aston Martin is sort of like maybe. Their flaw is that they're not McLaren. True. Is Lawson out? I don't know if Lawson is out. I would imagine not. It sure it was a crash, but it didn't look that bad. Looking good in the beard, eh? Yeah, I do have a beard. Yes, it's been 2 weeks and I've not shaved. The mustache is still there. It's just not twirled, right? Like I do still have the I do still have the goods for that. But yes, I am rocking the beard now. Liam or Albon? That's a very difficult question because both of them they're very different price ranges. Bro, swap Russell to Verstappen and Red Bull to Mercedes. Calvin, I've talked about this already. If I want to do that, I have to take a -10 hit, and I don't think that's worth it. Why not Mercedes Max instead of Russell Red Bull? Because I have to take a -10 hit to sell Hadjar to Gasly to afford it. If I do Gasly here instead of Sainz, I can't do that. Because these are the 3 I'm selling to get to the team I want. So if I go for this and I go for this, I have 3.9 million. I can't afford it. I would have to sell Hadjar. Because this was Behrman before. So I would have to sell both Hadjar and Behrman and slot in Sainz plus Gasly. And I don't think it's worth a -10. So that's why. Russell or Leclerc, your team with extra budgets? I prefer Russell this week. Russell can also increase in price, whereas Leclerc is very unlikely to. So even for it sets you up well for future weeks as well. And Russell just looks better than Ferrari. What a shame, that would be so good. Yeah, I do prefer the Verstappen Mercedes team, but I don't prefer it enough for me to take the -10 hit for it. Piastri or Verstappen as a 2x driver? That's close. I think similarly to why you would do Norris over Piastri before when we had triple McLaren, because Norris is owned by 14% and Piastri is owned by 82%, you do Verstappen because Verstappen is a differential. You know what I mean? Lol, posted my question about 10 times. Should probably stop spamming. Oh, sorry. Sorry. Yeah, I completely missed it. Sorry, man. Verstappen, Aston. Sorry, Sumit. So, thank you so much for the super chat. I completely missed that you'd posted the question after. Verstappen, Aston. Okay, Verstappen, Aston, or Mercedes, Antonelli. Others, Piastri, McLaren, Hadjar, Sainz, and Bortoleto. Verstappen or Aston or Mercedes, Antonelli. I would say that Mercedes, Antonelli is Oh, that's tough. I prefer the two premium constructors this week. But I don't know if I love doubling up on Antonelli with like both Mercedes and Antonelli. It's a tough one. It's a tough one because obviously like the difference is quite big there. And Aston could still do reasonably well, especially if you 2x Verstappen. That's actually a tough one. That's actually a really tough one. I think I would prefer Mercedes Antonelli just because I am very too premium constructor pilled right now. But I would maybe even consider going Albon over Antonelli. So I would go Mercedes Albon. It's difficult though. It's very, very difficult. If you trust Antonelli, go for it. I don't trust him. But I suppose he could pop up with like a P5. Yeah. Yeah, thank you so much for the question. And thank you so much for the super chat, Sumit. I'm sorry that I missed the thing. I'm still thinking if Verstappen... Okay, if you're intending on 2xing Verstappen and you want to have him for a longer hold, like you're planning on holding him for a while, I think I would go for Verstappen Aston. For just this week, though, I think Mercedes sets you up really well in the future as well. It's probably one of the toughest, like, comparisons so far, because I don't love either of them, you know what I mean? What do we think as second constructor? Ferrari, Red Bull, Mercedes? Depends on your budget entirely. But I do prefer Red Bull Racing over Ferrari. I think Ferrari is kind of washed this week. Red Bull Racing, Russell over Verstappen. So with this question, Abhijit, I prefer Verstappen Mercedes, but it's more expensive, so you need the right budget for it, and I don't have the right budget for it. I would have to take a -10 to afford it. So I actually prefer to keep Hadjar and go for Russell Red Bull Racing here. Like, I want to have Red Bull Racing over Mercedes. I don't want to have Russell Mercedes. I want to have Russell Red Bull Racing because I want to get Max Verstappen's points. What do you think about double Williams, Sainz, and Albon drivers for low budget? I think that's fine. I think that's really good. FP3 is all tilting me towards Mercedes Antonelli. My 2x is Piastri. If you're planning on 2xing Piastri anyway, I think Mercedes Antonelli is better. I don't think Aston Martin looked good enough to warrant taking the risk on them. Anyone dare to drop McLaren to get Piastri Verstappen? That would be a very brave move considering you're playing against literally everyone. 98.6%. 98.6% have McLaren in the top 500. Yellow Sub, thank you so much for joining the chat on Twitch. Thank you so much for the follow. You're locked in. Would love advice for next week though. At 122 million budget, I think your team right now with Piastri Verstappen, I would, for the same reason that I go for what I just said, right? When you had Norris and Piastri in your teams earlier, like I did previously, I always 2x'd Norris because he was the differential. If you have Verstappen plus Piastri in your team, it's very tempting. Like, this is very tempting to go for a 2x on Verstappen instead. Is FP3 Simulations going to come out before quali? I hope so. We'll have to wait and see. Alright, we're going to do the asset tier, or the driver tier list for this week. Team submissions is at top of the hour, so in 20 minutes. 20 minutes. Okay, let me do the... We are doing the tier list, so we have that ready. Where are my flags? Singapore, there we go. I have my flags set up this time. I did not do that last time. Here we go. Why was it so zoomed in? Oh, there we go. Alright, so we're gonna rank all the drivers. This was from last week, obviously. So let's just remove everything. The reason I do this in Canva and not like a tier list maker is because I like adding stuff sometimes, so it's easier to just do that with this. Let me get chat up here. Is Kota better for Alpine or Williams or Racing Bull? We don't know. Very, very difficult to call, Lannister. Very, very difficult to call. Probably not Alpine, though. You got any ideas on how unscrupulous people watch 3 p.m. Saturday Premier League matches? Shocking behavior. What country plus website do they VPN into? Definitely would never do that. I wouldn't do that either. I have no idea. Why Lawson so far back? I don't know. Okay, here we go. So, let's just do it from top down. Alex Albon. Yes, slightly shaky in practice. But at his price point, he is like the go-to option for those on a slightly lower budget. I don't think he's quite A tier though. I think he's B tier, like top of B tier. Just a really, really solid driver. You can't really go wrong picking him. He has just been able to secure his owners 10 plus points every race. I think he's a very, very safe driver to own. I don't think it's anyone you should rush to buy. But it's sort of like the go-to on a 3A lineup. Colapinto, at 4.5 million, he's not someone I want to own. He's not F tier because he's 4.5 million. If he could continue dropping price, I would put him F tier. I think Colapinto is just not someone I'm excited about at all. So I would put him in C tier. Russell looks really good this week. Was really good last week. Looks likely to increase in price. Is cheaper, easily to afford. Very, very solid 4A lineup enabler. And I mean, you kind of have to put him in A tier. I think Max Verstappen also goes in A tier. I don't think any of them are must own, which is why they're not S tier. S tier is reserved for must own drivers only. But yeah, I think Max Verstappen is really good. I mean, his recent results speak for themselves. Lando Norris. His price point is very, very difficult. I'm tempted to put him in B tier. You kind of have to sell him. You can't really have Norris on a 4A lineup. And I think the 4A lineups are so good. Writer confirmed every 3 sims are coming in Discord. Nice, you love to see it. I think Norris is probably just a B tier. I don't think he's bad. I think he's a differential for those who own him. It's just it's hard to run him as a differential because of his price point. And because of 4A lineups being so good, and Russell and Verstappen being up there challenging for those podium positions with him, McLaren not being the clear 1-2 favorite anymore, I think you kind of have to slot Norris down in B tier. If he was cheaper, if he was like Piastri's price, he would definitely be A. Perhaps even S tier. It's just at his price point, I would much rather rock someone like a Verstappen or a Piastri. Which, speaking of, I'm going to put Piastri for the first time this season in A tier. I don't think any of these are must-own anymore. You can have like any combination of them, realistically. And he's likely to drop in price, right? Yeah. Required points. Piastri is like almost guaranteed to drop in price for the second time this season, right? So because of that, I don't think you have to have Piastri anymore. You know what I mean? I don't think Piastri is must-have. I think you don't need to sell him just because he's dropping in price. Like, you can keep him for the rest of the year. But I think for the first time, I'm not going to put Piastri in S tier because I think you can actually make a team without him if you want to. Granted, that's very brave because he's very highly owned. Ollie Behrman, not F tier, is probably decreasing in price. Haas has not been like impressive. So I think both him and Ocon are just like solid C tier. You can pick them if you want to. If you have that extra budget, if you're on a 3A lineup, you can slot them in. Oops. What the hell? Ignore that. I think you can slot them in. Similarly to what I spoke about at the beginning of the stream. Whereas like, okay, if you're looking for differentials to own that other people don't own, you can own them. But in general, I think they're just fine options. I mean, they're not must avoids or anything like that. Yuki Tsunoda is like not F tier for the first time ever this season. I think it's just solid C tier. You can, similarly to Ocon, like you can slot Yuki Tsunoda in if you want like a massive differential, but at its price point, I think there are better options. Hadjar. Is Hadjar must own? I don't think Hadjar is must. I don't think any asset is must own. I think Hadjar is really good. He's been one of the consistent top performers this weekend in practice of the midfield lineup, and I think he could definitely pop up with another Q3 finish. I think Hadjar kind of has to go in S tier. Now, granted, if you need to sell Hadjar to afford a 4A, I think that's fine. But I'm gonna put him in A tier. I think Hadjar's really good. Probably one of the best cheap options available if you not count for this guy. Is Sainz finally S tier? He looks really good in practice. He's guaranteed to increase in price. I've been waiting for this moment. At 5.9 million, he's a steal. I think Sainz is S tier. I think Sainz finally, after being literally like F tiers in the entire season, he's made it up there. All that was required was for him to drop 8 million in price. Do you guys remember, by the way, at the start of the season, when Sainz came in at 12 million and people actually owned him? He was like the highest owned asset in the game. Can we talk about that? Would you take a -10 for Sainz? No, I would not. And also, do you remember me saying, I said this at the start of the year, that Sainz was the biggest noob bait of the season. He was going to be bad. He was not good enough for that price point. And I've been the person bigging him up over like the past 4 months, saying like, as soon as he looks likely to increase in price, everyone is going to want to own him. And we're there. Yep, please don't. He had crazy PR at the start of the season. But yes. Any chip play? I still have all my chips. If you still have all your chips, Demon Hunter, you need to start playing some chips. Use No Negative or Autopilot this week. You need to start playing some of them. Biggest lot was Lawson RB. Sure. But I was talking about F1 fantasy assets, and once he became a Racing Bull asset, he became a good asset, so. Gasly, you have to put him above Colapinto. I think like he's fine to own. It's not someone I would rush to buy, but at his price point, sometimes you just kind of have to have him. And I would much rather have him over Colapinto. Alonso, guaranteed to drop in price, look decent in practice. I can't put Alonso in C. I literally can't. I think he's fine. I think he's a really good differential this week. I think it's good to own. He's gonna just, if you know that he's dropping in price, you want him for the results he can give you. I think he's fine. I think this is my hot take. Steven, hello from Singapore. Please say hi to my fantasy league called F1 Khakis. Shout out to F1 Khakis. I hope that's not a bad word. We'd be stoked to get a shout out. We then have Stroll. Is there an F tier driver this week? I don't think. Okay, actually there is one. I'm so sorry, there is one. Lawson is here, right? He's good. Does his crashes put it down to a B? Okay, Lawson before crashes, A tier. Lawson after crashes in free practice, B tier. Lawson Bortoleto should be A or S. Yeah, Lawson before practice was A tier. Lawson after practice is B tier. Bortoleto's just A tier, just solid driver, cheap, easy to own. Hulkenberg, difficult to own. Probably fine, though. Antonelli's also probably fine, right? And then it's these two boys. What do I do with these two? Is this harsh? It feels very bad to put Hamilton alone in F tier. Hamilton driver of the day, you're not wrong. Come on, his dog just died. Like, okay, I hadn't even, I know, I feel bad putting him here, but the thing is, like, I would much rather just have Leclerc and they're the same price and neither look great. But Shailesh is actually saying something very, very valid here. Yeah, I hadn't even thought about that. That's actually... Hamilton is very popular. If he has a good result, even like a P4, P5, he could be driver of the day. Yeah, like there's an actual real... there's an actual real chance that he gets driver of the day because of sympathy vote. The dog is not going to drive of the day. He'd have to podium. I don't think he has to podium. I think if the podium is boring and it's like Norris, Piastri, Verstappen, and Hamilton is like P4 or P5, he could definitely get driver of the day. Especially like if Max wins, I think Max gets driver of the day. But if it's like Norris or Piastri winning, both McLaren's on the podium, Verstappen on the podium, and Hamilton is like P4, P5, he won't P4, P5 relax. Yeah, you never know. Oh wait, he gets a grid penalty. Is it done? Is it done? I thought he wasn't getting one. Feels wrong to have Leclerc that far below Russell. I feel they will finish close to each other. Yeah, but he's more expensive, right? Are they here? I don't think they're here. I think they're C tier. Yeah, people. His dog. Roscoe passed away. People get sentimental. He definitely a driver of the day contender. Granted, I would not go out and buy him for that reason. Piastri's grid penalty from lost race. No, he doesn't, right? I'm pretty sure he doesn't. I'm pretty sure he just got a fine. There's a lot of people saying penalties in chat, so I don't know what's actually happening. Russell's only 0.3 cheaper than Leclerc. Yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right, Luxalotl. He did a false start, I know, but I don't think he actually got a penalty for it. I think he just got a fine. Yeah, he only got a fine for it. How come you don't like the look of Aston or Racing Bulls? Okay, Racing Bulls because Liam Lawson is there. Liam Lawson looks shaky. Aston, I wouldn't say 15th and 17th in the most representative session is that they looked great. Sure, I think Alonso looks good. I think Hadjar looks good. I don't think their teammate looks good. Yeah, exactly. Piastri does not have a penalty. Yeah, I was right then. Is it worth final fixing for who gets pole? Possibly. I think final fix could be really good this week. All right. Oh, sorry. I'm still very much zoomed in. I think I can't put Hamilton in F tier when he's a driver of the day favorite. So I think this is accurate, actually. I think this is accurate. I have all the cars down here as well, but I don't think we need to review them. I think it's just like kind of this. I think this is constructed tier list. Is left to right in order? No. It's not. But it's a good question. Sometimes it is, but in general, assume not. It's like any order in the tier. It means that they're like similar. Hamilton's being reviewed at the moment. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Appreciate the clarity, Calvin. Alright, so we usually like to do... I think we maybe need to start moving it. I usually say team submissions top of the hour, but I feel like FP3 simulations always come out around top of the hour. Meaning that we always want to look at FP3 sims before doing team submissions. So I think from now on, we're just gonna say team submissions is at top of the hour or after FP3 sims, because I do want to look at FP3 sims before team submissions. Team submissions still open, by the way, in the Discord, link in the description below, in the YouTube description. So join that, and if you either become a member on YouTube or you subscribe with Luna, Amazon Prime equivalent, over on Twitch, you get 1 free subscription per month. If you have Amazon Prime, or if it's called Luna now, I don't know. If you have that, make sure to use that free subscription. You don't need to use it on me. Literally, like, I don't care that you use it on me. I just want you to actively use it, because if you don't use it, that's money that goes into Jeff Bezos's pocket. And, I mean, the Lord knows he does not need more money. There are other people who need it more than you. It's basically a free subscription. And, yeah, you just get some cool stuff. Hurricane! I'm not going to say the second one. Thank you so much for the 10 Norwegian kroner. If you had a message with that, post it and spam me a couple times, and I'll I'll do that. Celtic says, "Hee ho, work done now. Some submissions. Thank you." All right, I'm gonna quickly go to the bathroom, and then when I'm back, I'm hoping FP3 simulations is back, is up, or we start team submissions. How about that? Yeah. Who's the more urgent sell between Lewis, Liam, Gasly, and Bortoletto? Urgent sell? Well, probably Lewis. All right. I'll be right back. No, DVS, come back! Come back! Don't go! I'm back, I promise. Don't leave. I just have to go to the bathroom. No! Alright. Anyway. DVS, you better still be here. Yeah, you better still be here. Let's go back to this. Okay. Is Williams better than VCarb? I would say yes. Keep Ferrari in. I don't think they're a must sell. But I would rather buy Mercedes or Red Bull this week. Real ones wait. You know how it is, Jonathan. Okay. Let's see here. We have team submissions. However, we don't have FP3 sims, and we're supposed to get FP3 sims. So I think we're waiting. Fully switch to Verstappen 2x with 3A. With 3A, Verstappen 2x is brave. No McLaren driver is definitely brave. Team submissions? Yeah, I want to get FP3 sims first, though. I really want to get FP3 sims first. Really want to get FP3 sims first. So I think we'll have to wait it out. Why not Norris over Piastri if budget allows, considering similar expected points and more budget gain? If budget allows, I think that's a great plan, honestly. Are you planning on setting up for a 3x in Kota? No, I think I'm planning on 3xing in Qatar or Brazil if it doesn't rain there. I don't think I have a high enough budget to set up the 3x that I want, because I want my 3x to be either Piastri Verstappen or Norris Piastri. Piastri Norris or Piastri Verstappen. F1 Predict already did like an hour ago. Almost exactly. Yeah, I did predict start of the stream, so I think I did it exactly 5 minutes past the hour. Tip of the week, get Red Bull Racing or Verstappen? Maybe. We'll have to see what tip of the week is. We have to wait and see, huh? Alright. So, again, for those who are just now joining, we are awaiting FP3 sims. And then we're doing team submissions, and then we're doing tip of the week, and then we're locking in the team. However, I think I'm pretty set on what I want to do with my team already. No matter what it says, right? I don't trust Ferrari this week. I really like 4A. I want to get the 4A lineup. I really like 2 premium constructors. So I think I'm doing Red Bull Racing to get the Max Verstappen points. I think I'm doing Russell here, and I'm doing Sainz. The reason I'm not doing Verstappen plus Mercedes is because I would need to do a -10 for that and actually sell Hadjar. There we go. Thank you guys for the spam. Let's put on some good music. All right, FP3 sims are out. Let's go. Let's look at these. FP3 sims out. FP3 sims out. FP3 sims out. Good job spamming me. I appreciate the spam. That is like the perfect time to spam the chat is when writers FP3 sims are out. I am reading Celtic. What do you mean? I'm reading both chats. Don't think I don't read Twitch chat. I just ignore you sometimes because you're annoying. No. No, I don't do that. I don't do that. I read both chats. Sorry, but Sims are trash. I just ignore them now. I think they can give some insight into expected points. I never use them as a one-to-one guide. Granted, they have been pretty incorrect in the past couple, so we gotta log in with Patreon. Yeah, there we go. Alright. So they're saying Ferrari Russell. Interesting. But I mean, the points between Ferrari, Mercedes, and Red Bull is like next to none, right? Incorrect is fine, but they've just been bad. Sims told me not to FF last week, but I did it and jumped up by 600 globally. I think stuff like that is what the Sims cannot do. Yeah, Ferrari is pretty funny here, actually. I did not expect that, but I mean, the points are very close. I don't really know how Ferrari is 48.8 here. You used to be able to change the weighting of past races for the Sim. It was great. That would be a good one, right? Oof, took you 1 minute to read. No, it's just a 1 minute delay on the stream, Celtic. I read it instantly. Alright, so I think this is very much like look at the just like police siren mess that is this this column right here. At least it's agreeing that, you know, the true premium constructor is correct. I think, yeah, they haven't really changed my mind on anything. I agree that Alonso is a good option for points this week, so I do actually agree on that, because it's obviously only weighted by points and not budgets. I think this just confirms my thing. There's 2 posts. Oh, yeah, there's post F3 if Hamilton gets 5 place grid penalty. Okay, what does this do with Ferrari's points? It increases them. I think that's incorrect. I think that's incorrect. They have a sim considering Hamilton gets 5 crit. Okay, I think this is incorrect. I think a 5 place grid penalty reduces Hamilton's chance for points, not increases. Am I crazy for thinking that? Gasly's safer? Over who? Over, like, Sainz? I prefer Sainz. I think Sainz is, like, one of the must-buys this week. Should I take a -10 to swap Piastri out for budget reasons? No, you can definitely just keep Piastri for the rest of the season. If you never sell Piastri, the budget loss is not real. The budget loss of Piastri is only real if you sell him. Alright. That is the FP3 Sims. I don't think they gave us too much. Was watching on YouTube so could do some analysis on phone. And? Alright. Hand penalty increase points due to coming through the field. Yes, but I don't think he will come through the field in Singapore. You know what I mean? I don't think he will actually come. I know that's why they're doing this, but I think it's incorrect at this track. Like, they struggled to overtake in Baku last week. The Sims are suggesting 2x on Verstappen. Perhaps they are. Yes, they are. By 0.1 to Norris. But I can't get that because I'm too poor to afford him with just a -10, right? With what I think it's very marginal, very very marginal. It's like enough that it doesn't even register as a -10 option for me, which I agree with actually. Like, none of my potential options here that it suggests for me is a -10 to get Verstappen in, even though I could technically do it, just because like it's not worth it. Even if I do -20, like it doesn't show up. So, even though it slightly prefers Verstappen, I don't think it's by enough. Alright. that's gonna be that for now. Let's do team submissions now. Let's do team submissions. I'm going to close the team submissions channel for now. Thank you so much to everyone who submitted. Just know, as always, I prefer to talk about 3 teams for 5 minutes each, then briefly mention all of them. I might briefly mention your team. But if I skip over your team, don't be mad. It's just because I think previous advice I've already given out also apply. You know? There we go. So, that is... Team Submissions channel is closed. Let's actually go and look what we have received today. We have a lot of submissions. Lots and lots of submissions. So, thank you so much, everyone. Again, I apologize that I'm not going to get to all of them. As always, I do turn stream mode, or like streamer mode, off for this. So that I can see who is actually the person typing. So if you don't want your name to be shown, just edit your name in the Discord channel. All right, so we have first up Bolle33 or Boll33 with a 3A lineup with Kimi Antonelli in there. And Albon. Interesting. 2 free transfers with McLaren Mercedes. I wonder if you have the budget to go down to like even a Gasly to upgrade to like a Russell. So, oh, I forgot. Yeah, we're doing members team. Yeah. Sorry. Priorities. Thank you, Fraser. Okay, I'm bad at mental math here. This is 28.7 million. Yeah, you can definitely afford Russell and Gasly here. You can definitely afford Russell and Gasly here. I prefer that over Albon and Antonelli. Alright. Priority teams. We have a few from today. This is from last week. There we go. 4 of them. Thank you so much for the support. Fraser Rich, 137.4 budget with 3 transfers, 2 options, leaning towards Verstappen lineup with 2x on Verstappen. Tempted to use autopilot. I think autopilot, I haven't talked about it that much today. I think autopilot is a great choice. There's a slight chance of rain. Unlikely, but slight. The crashes have been pretty brutal. And especially when you have 2 drivers from 2 different teams, I think it's just really, really strong. Yeah, Piastri Verstappen. Norris Piastri. I mean, this team looks really, really strong, right? You could even like either choose to keep Behrman here or change Behrman to someone else, like with an extra move. Verstappen Mercedes looks really strong. And here you can choose if you want a 2x Verstappen or 2x Piastri. Or just use autopilot. I think autopilot is great this week. But I'm jealous of your budget. I wish I could afford Piastri Verstappen with all of these heavy hitters, but alas, I cannot. Modric, budget is 123.5 million. So slightly lower, 2 transfers. Yeah, it's Piastri Albon type of build we're talking about here. However, it seems a few of these include selling Alex Albon here. So, original team is first pick, the one with Ferrari, and you're looking to sell Ferrari down, right? So you're selling Ferrari down to Red Bull Racing or Mercedes, and then you are also choosing to sell Albon to Sainz. I would say if you're downgrading Ferrari to Red Bull Racing or Mercedes, I would rather upgrade Gasly to Sainz and keep Albon. I think that's what I would do. Granted, if you want the money in the bank, that's fine. But if the plan is to sell Ferrari down, I think you should sell Ferrari down and upgrade Gasly. That's just my opinion, though. I prefer, because I don't think Albon's bad. I think, you know, if Albon gets you 8 points, that's a good, like that's a good haul for him, right? And below average of what he has accomplished so far this season. We then have Calendori. Love these things, guys. When you do this, current team. Piastri, Behrman, Albon, Bortoleto, Hadjar, McLaren, Ferrari. Yeah, very, very standard, very standard. 2 free transfers. Switching over heavy budget here. You get Sainz, Leclerc, Ferrari. While I do think this is... Well, like, this is what I wanted at the start of this week before I saw Ferrari in practice. I think this is better, right? This is a -10, right? That's rough. Keeping Bearman here, going without Sainz. Yeah, that's the thing. You only have those 3 transfers, and you want to get Sainz in somehow. But I wouldn't do a -10 to do Bearman to Sainz, right? Like, even though this is with Sainz and this is without Sainz, I prefer this. Because, like, is Sainz really going to outscore Bearman by 10 points? I don't think so. So even though it's unfortunate you missed the price hike of Sainz, you can just buy him next week, and your budget is decent as is. So I prefer this second team. I mean, I prefer this team, but I don't prefer it with a -10 because, like, I don't think Sainz is going to outscore Bearman by -10, by 10 points. Celtic first is current. Rest is options with 3 transfers. Right, another Piastri Albon team. Classic. Piastri, Russell, Mercedes McLaren. 2.4 million in the bank. Don't like that. I think this is good if you're using the 3x in like Kota or something like that, but I do think for this week I would rather do this. I think this is safer, and I prefer safe on a track such as Singapore. Is it worth keeping an extra transfer for Kota? Not necessarily. Like, you don't have to. I'm not doing it. I think it's better to get a good team for this week. I may have missed it, but who would you 2x between Piastri Verstappen? For the same reason that I would 2x Norris over Piastri if I had him for differential reasons, I would 2x Verstappen over Piastri for differential reasons if I had both of them. Now, granted, if you could only have one, I think I would still stick with Piastri, but that's my opinion. I think we gotta keep going back to this, right? Picked percentage. Verstappen is picked by 8%, Piastri is picked by 82.6%. So if you actually want to climb in rank, this is how you do it. Alright. Got it. Next up, that's all the priority team submissions. Thank you so much for supporting the stream. If you want to be here in the future, just make sure you either use your Luna Twitch Prime submit. I don't know what. The Amazon Prime, Twitch Prime subscription. You can do that for free once per month over on Twitch. Or become a member on YouTube. I think it's like $2 on YouTube. And you will be in the priority list here on Discord. You just have to link your Discord to the account that you are subscribed on Twitch or membered on YouTube with. And you will also be priority when it comes to team submissions. Let's go back to the regular viewers and continue down the list right here. We have a Verstappen-Russell team with McLaren, Mercedes. Very, very interesting. It's sort of what I have in terms of my team, but instead of... Like, you're doing the Verstappen-Mercedes thing by selling Piastri to afford Russell. I think it's very brave. It could work out really well. I don't hate it. And I actually think... I think it's good. I'm just scared to go without a McLaren driver, you know? Team submission channel is closed. Yes, it is. But I really like this team. I think this team is really good, and especially like if Verstappen and Russell end up on the podium, both. You're just picking like good, solid, consistent drivers. Yeah, I really like this actually. I actually really like this. Even though it's scary, like I would prefer to have Piastri here over Russell, but obviously then you can't do the budget that you want. So I think it's a really good differential pick. Actually, I think I would go for it just because it's different, right? I can't go for this. I think you can. 130 million with 2 free transfers. Please help. Very, very difficult with 2 free transfers. Very, very difficult with 2 free transfers, but also very difficult with only 130 million. I say only, it's a decent budget, but I talked about it earlier in the stream, how I think that 130... Like 129 to like 131, 132 million is by far the hardest price range to play the game in. I think you're doing something at least by having Norris over Piastri here to play a bit differential with Albon. With only 2 free transfers, it's very difficult to overhaul your team completely. I think at this point you are committed to having Norris. You stick with Norris on the 2x and hope that he wins or outperforms Piastri at least. And then sell Ferrari down to either Mercedes or Red Bull, and then sell Bearman to Sainz, is what I would do. I think that's the optimal play here this week. Granted, you can also just elect to keep Ferrari. Simulations say that Ferrari should be decent this week, and I think it's a very much a toss-up between Ferrari, Red Bull, and Mercedes, which one ends up performing the best. But I do really like Sainz, so I think a Behrman down to a Sainz makes a lot of sense. If you want to roll a transfer and keep Norris Ferrari, you can do so. But you could also choose to sell Ferrari. I think it's up to you whether you want to save a transfer for Kota, or if you want to be, you know, proactive and chase things. Why are we looking at Red Bull over Mercedes? Because with Red Bull Racing, you get Max Verstappen points. I think Yuki has improved to a point where he doesn't like diminish the value of the asset entirely, and I think like the risk of Red Bull Racing is the same risk with Mercedes, right? I think it's entirely a budget question. Like if you can't afford Red Bull Racing, just go for Mercedes. But I'm expecting Verstappen to outperform Russell. I'm expecting it to be a McLaren Verstappen podium. And for that reason, I think that Red Bull Racing offers slightly more. In addition to that, Mercedes is very bad at fast pit stops. Red Bull Racing have been really good at fast pit stops lately. So I think that's why. I think it's very, very close. And again, I would prefer Verstappen Mercedes over Russell Red Bull. But it's a budget question. I was considering this with a -10. Worth it? I do not know what you were considering if it was this. When is the best time to use wildcard? Literally whenever you think you need an overhaul your team and you don't want to take -10 hits. It's very difficult to say like one race where it's good, because it's very different for every team. Manto, 133.4, around my budget here. Should I go for -10 for Max Mercedes, Gasly, Lawson? No. I think you're in the same boat as me, where it's like, yes, you have this right now. I think if you want to sell Leclerc, you want to sell Ferrari, that's fine. You already have Sainz, which is good. You're already locked on a Colapinto, you might as well keep them. I don't think you should take a -10 hit for almost anything. Who would you pick with Limitless? I haven't really discussed Limitless so far today because I don't think it's a great option. I think it's scary to use it in this race. But it would be double McLaren, it would be Russell, Verstappen. Final driver is difficult. Final constructor is difficult. It's obviously McLaren, right? Limitless is hard this week. I think Limitless is bad this week because it's not a clear top 5 drivers, top 2 constructors. So it's difficult to predict who's going to outscore who. In addition to that, it's a dangerous race entirely. Like when I used my Limitless in Monaco, sure, Monaco is a risky track because it's a street track and stuff like that, right? But it was very obvious who was like the top 5 drivers, the top 2 constructors. So I think that's what you kind of have to look for when you pop the Limitless, because you need the Limitless Delta to be good, and if you don't get the picks correct on the Limitless, it's very, very difficult to do so. So I think if you're committed to the Limitless already, I think Verstappen, Russell, Norris, Piastri are must-haves. McLaren is must-have. It's the final constructor and the final driver that you can sort of pick whoever you want. I think, actually, we talked about it briefly when I did the tier ranking. Maybe you go for Hamilton and just hope he gets driver of the day as a sympathy vote for since Roscoe passed away. I think that's very much possible. If he can get like even like a P6, he could end up getting it. And then for the constructor, it's probably Red Bull. Maybe it's Ferrari. Maybe it's Mercedes if you're brave. I don't actually know. I think it's very, very... I think all 3 of those constructors are very, very close. And I actually don't know which one I would pick on a Limitless if budget didn't matter. Because all of my selections have been because budget matters. Moving on. Only one transfer to roll a transfer. I mean, it's just a good team in general. One transfer. I keep suggesting Ferrari to Red Bull, but you don't even need to have. You don't even have to do that. I am recommending the Ferrari transfer out. I don't necessarily believe that that's must do or correct, right? Forecast for rain in the race. Any considerations? There's a slight chance for rain in the race. I think it increases the value of something like autopilot, but I don't think we can do too much in terms of our actual picks to consider it. Please suggest changes. 3 free transfers, 128 million. Rocking Piastri, Albon, very standard. I think Sainz in with 3 free transfers is kind of a must. You can choose whether to keep Ferrari or not. I think keeping Piastri, Albon is totally fine. You could even consider here selling Lawson, right, if you don't trust him after the 2 crashes he's had. But with this team and with 128 million, you can't really go for the 4A lineup here. So maybe you just do 2 free transfers and roll and keep 1 transfer active going. But yeah, I think Sainz is like the must-buy for this team. And you do it for either Bortoleto or Lawson. You probably keep Albon, and then if you want to transfer a Ferrari, you do that. Lazy. Okay, 2 more minutes of team submissions, and then we have to move on to me actually locking in my team. We have some spicy picks here. I'm not generally a fan of McLaren Aston Martin teams, okay? I don't think you need Piastri, Verstappen, Antonelli. I think it's better to run this, okay? Like, this looks fun, but you don't need to do all this. And I do think, like, having Red Bull Racing outscores Max Verstappen unless you're playing on 2xing Max Verstappen, right? The only reason why you would do, like, a McLaren Aston Martin Piastri Verstappen team is if you want a 2x Verstappen, first of all, right? Second of all, I don't think Antonelli's that good of a pick. I prefer to slot in Albon. And third of all, you don't even get Sainz when you're doing this. Like, you're doing too much with this team to be differential. Whereas here, you can just sell Behrman to Sainz. You can sell Ferrari if you want to. You can keep Albon. Like, you already have Albon. You don't need to go for an Antonelli. If you want Verstappen, you can go for Verstappen and go for him just over Piastri. That seems fine. Piastri's going to drop in price anyway. You can just buy him back later. Have him as a bit of a differential for 1 race. Move on. I only have 1 question since the beginning. Please tell me if it's worth to swap Lawson for Sainz. Lawson to Sainz is a good transfer, but I wouldn't do it for a -10. Okay, that's my takeaway. What do I do with Norris? It's so awkward. I think Norris is fine. Sammy, sorry I didn't see your question until now, but I think Norris is fine unless you want to sell him like alongside something else. It's sort of what I talked about with this team up here that had Norris. I think this is a really good team, right? Maybe this is actually you, Sammy. I don't know, because it's Samuel L. Jackson. Like maybe that question is this. I think it's fine to keep Norris, especially on a 3XT, on a 318. 2x Piastri on Verstappen. If you have both, it's Verstappen. If you can only buy one, I think it's Piastri. Alright, that's gonna be it for now. If I didn't get to your team, I'm very, very sorry. There's a lot of I can't get to all of them. There's way too many. There's way too many. Thank you so much for all the submissions, guys. I hope you at least got something out of it. If I have time nearing the end of the deadline, like with the final 10 minutes, I might go through a couple more. But for now, I need to do my transfers and team... what's it called? Oops, sorry. And do tip of the week. So... yeah, Lawson crashed twice, not sure about him. Exactly, I wouldn't go out and buy Lawson, but if you have him, he's not like a must sell either. But I would be worried if I had him. Lemur in the house, thank you so much for the follow over on Twitch. Okay. We'll do tip of the week, and then I'll lock in my team, okay? How about that? Tip of the week, and then I'll lock in my team. Let me get the correct music going. The tip of the week music. Alright. Give me your tip of the week predictions. I want to see them fly through the chat. And while we do that, we are at 145 likes, 300 people in the chat. I think we can hit 200 likes before the end of the stream. So, leave a like on the YouTube stream for tip of the week. Hype the stream. I think that's something you can do now. I don't know actually what it does, but like if you have hype points, I don't know. Like hype the stream, but like the stream. There's half of you watching right now have not liked the stream. That is very unfortunate. I believe you all should go and do that. Tip of the week. Da, 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 da. See, Danilo is thinking like in the rain thoughts, you know, go differential if you don't have enough budget. Like, that's a good tip, but that's a good general tip. That's not like the tip of the week. We're trying to make tip of the week relevant for a certain week. Prepare for the 3x. I don't think you necessarily need to prepare for the 3x just yet. You can if you want to, but it's not tip of the week. Go with safe options. Yeah, you're getting closer, but it's a bit more specific than that, Jonathan. That was terrible. That's like the worst R I've ever done. Number 1 tip of the week. Hamilton, no penalty. Good. Mercedes, clear second constructor. I don't think they're clear second constructor. Are you keeping Ferrari? I didn't even have Ferrari to begin with. All in on Max? Not necessarily. You can do so if you want to. Tip of the week, Carlos Sainz. I think Carlos Sainz is the best cheap asset in the game currently. But it's not tip of the week. Tip of the week for Singapore's Grand Prix is... two A-tier constructors. It's safe. I think it works better. I don't like any of the cheap constructors this week, like in general at all. I think you have to switch back to two premium constructors. Which two constructors you have, that's up to you. But me and a lot of other people have been on like triple McLaren plus Williams or with V-Carbs or with Aston Martins. I don't think there's a clear, outstanding, cheap constructor available for this week. This is tip of the week. You have to switch back. And it's sort of in the line of like play it safe, like Jonathan said. But it's a bit more specific in that like this is how you play it safer. Is Lawson on for quali? I have not seen confirmed reports or denied reports of that yet. But I always assume that they are, unless stated otherwise. These mechanics are very, very skilled. All right, let's go in and edit my team. This will be my team. Let me explain it to those of you who didn't hear me explain it earlier in the stream. My reasoning for going with this. I think... Okay. Sorry, I'm going to get some water. I think Max Verstappen plus Mercedes is probably a better combo than Russell and Red Bull Racing. However, for me to afford that, I need to take a -10. This was my team from last week. I'm selling Norris, Behrman, Williams. And I'm going with Verstappen, Mercedes, and then I have 3.9 million in the bank. Meaning the only way I can afford Verstappen Mercedes is if I also take a -10 to sell Hadjar. And even then, it's Sainz plus a Gasly that I need to afford. I don't think this team is bad. I think this team is actually really good. But I don't think this team is worth the -10 compared to the other team, which is the one I'm going for. So, I'm selling Norris, I'm selling Behrman, I'm selling Williams, I'm buying Russell, Red Bull Racing. This could have been Ferrari as well. I was considering it more, but I really want to get the Max Verstappen points. I think Max Verstappen is going to perform well this week. And I do think Russell looks good as well. Russell could definitely end up on the podium. And this also allows me to get Carlos Sainz, which I think is the best cheap asset this week by quite some margin, both budget-wise and points-wise. So, this is my team. I'm going to switch it around so I have the 2x driver in the right slot because my 2x is going to be on Oscar Piastri. And then I want my cheap assets to be in price order as well because I am that type of person. So Hadjar, Bortoleto, Sainz, 2x on Piastri. This is going to be my team. 4 changes. One of them is just being the 2x boost. All 3 of my transfers. I only have the extra DRS remaining. I'm not using it this race, of course. I'm planning to use it probably not in Kota. Probably in a non-rainy Brazil or in Qatar is my plan for the 3x. But this will be my team. Confirm changes. No Ferrari. That's my team. Piastri budget will go down though. Not if you don't sell him. If I keep Piastri for the rest of the season, it's like his budget hasn't changed. And I probably plan on keeping Piastri until the end of the season. I don't think I'm ever getting rid of him. So Piastri's budget only goes down if you sell him. That's how you gotta think about it. Like the budget changes only matter if you plan on selling an asset. And I don't plan on selling Piastri until the end of the season. I'm very likely keeping Piastri until the end of the season. Especially since I need to like prepare for the 3x constantly, and since I'm using the 3x in one of the remaining sprint weekends, like it's gonna be Piastri plus Max or Piastri plus Norris on the 3x, no matter what for me. Okay. I have some other teams here that need some fixing. They don't matter as much. They're not competitive. I'm gonna do this. Actually, just so I'm different between my teams, I'm gonna do this and get rid of Liam Lawson. I can keep Liam Lawson on this. It's fine. I'm just gonna do 1 transfer on this team. Roll, so I have 3 in the next race. Just get Sainz. Boom. Alright. I also have, obviously, I don't make changes on this team. This is a testing thing I did earlier in the year. So I need to go into the secret team. Those of you who know, they know. I'm slightly behind on that team though, because last weekend was bad for me, since I had the 4A. But here we go. Secret team. Watch along here or at Twitch. Watch along is at Twitch only, Aisha. This is rough, right? So say I want to get Sainz in here, and I want to get Russell in here. I do have to sell this, right? What if I just keep Gasly here? I still can't go for... Can I go for Max here, actually? No. Unlucky. Unlucky. Have I passed budget on my main team? I have. Wow. This team is really, really fallen off, huh? I don't know what I want to do with this team. I think I'll just do this here as well to get Sainz in. Alright. And this team has 3 transfers. We'll do this, this, and this. I gotta have Max Verstappen on one team, you know? I'll take the -10 on this one. There we go. Alright, changes made. Piastri and Russell worth use autopilots? I think it's fine, yeah. Autopilot looks good. Red Bull and Russell, why not Mercedes and Russell? Because I think Max Verstappen is going to be really good this weekend and I want Max Verstappen's points. And I don't need to do Mercedes Russell. I think Red Bull Racing is better than Mercedes because potential for fastest pit stop points as well. Granted, I think the difference between Red Bull Racing and Mercedes is very close, but I prefer Red Bull Racing. slightly. Alright, so this is my team then. Let me post that everywhere. And then we'll do some final questions leading up to the deadline. It's not one of those days where we have 1,000 options. I mean, we do have 1,000 options, but at least for me, my decision was pretty clear, like what I wanted to do. Let's see here. So, I'm just gonna post this to Twitter. And then I'll take final questions from chat. Sorry about that. I'll take questions very soon, guys. Very, very soon. I'm just gonna type this up. Alright. So we have Norris, Behrman, Williams. To Russell, Sainz, and Red Bull Racing couldn't afford Verstappen plus Mercedes without a -10, so I settled for second best. Singapore. Quali watch along over on. Over on twitch.tv/Rain Fantasy. There we go. Boom. Posted. Pin it. And if you are goats, when does it start? Quali starts in 15 minutes. So it's 15 minutes until the deadline. If you're goats, you go and interact with this. You don't have to. How many likes did we end up? 186 likes. We need 15 more for 200, which is the goal for the stream. Sainz over Antonelli. Over Antonelli. Ooh, I think honestly, yeah. I mean, I know this sounds crazy, but like you have a lot of money in the bank. I mean, you can definitely final fix if you haven't done that already on your 2x, and also it leaves you very flexible because like Sainz is someone who you probably want to hold long term, whereas Antonelli is someone that you might want to have to sell going forward. So, as crazy as it seems, I think I would take Sainz over Antonelli. Alonso or Bortoleto. It depends if you want to be careful, and like budget doesn't matter. Like you can go for Bortoleto to just play safe, and that's someone who you probably don't have to sell in the future because he's one of the cheaper good assets, right? If you want to take a risk, you go for Alonso. I think Alonso is a very good differential this week to target points. He's gonna drop in price, almost guaranteed. So just be aware of that. So you don't price yourself out of a team that you would want in the future. But in terms of just 1 week punt, ignore budget, I think Alonso's really good. So it entirely depends, like Bortoleto or Alonso, depends on how you want to play the game and if you're fine with losing budget for this week. Antonelli versus Albon, I prefer Albon. I think Albon is more consistent. Why Russell over Leclerc? Because Ferrari hasn't really shown pace. Mercedes looked good. And Russell is just ever constant P3, P4, P5. in addition to that, Russell's very likely to increase in price, whereas Leclerc is probably decreasing in price, unless he ends up on the podium. And that just makes it easier for me in the future to like go to Leclerc if I want to, right? Since Russell's probably increasing, Leclerc's probably decreasing. So that's just like, it's not that big of a deal, right? It's not my only reason for doing that. I think Mercedes looking faster than Ferrari in Free Practice 3 is what swayed me to going for Russell over Leclerc. But you can really go for either or. It's just that I feel safer going for Russell this week, and then I can just transfer in Leclerc next week if I want Leclerc instead, because of how the budget is going to pan out. Whereas if I did the opposite and went for Leclerc instead of Russell, maybe that prices me out of a move I want to make later after a price drop. How was the Civilization? Really, really, really good. I'll probably end up creating a gaming YouTube channel just to make a video about it because it was sick. So if you if you know, okay, so this is for those who don't know. I was part of the Ish State Purge event for 3 weeks. It was a great time. I had a blast. That's why I've been so busy over the past 3 weeks. So if you have not watched that video yet, it's on YouTube. Like, if you have even the tiniest interest in Minecraft, you should watch that video. That video is actually goated. It's actually just a straight up movie. It's like 2.5 hours long. But like, don't go into it expecting a Minecraft video. Go into it expecting a movie, and you'll get a movie, right? The drama, the plot is incredible, and I'm in the next one, so it's awesome. Definitely recommend watching it, and I'll probably do a watch along of the next video when it drops on stream, whatever that is. If you do a gaming channel, I will subscribe. Thank you, Daniel. Gasly or Lawson? I prefer Lawson, but Lawson's form in Singapore scares me slightly. I think Gasly is safer. Lawson definitely has the higher ceiling. Because, like, we're talking about Lawson being a potential crash risk, maybe he doesn't even start, all of that. It is very possible that Lawson just pops up with a P8, finishes P7, and, you know, we all look stupid for overlooking him, right? Let's see. I ruined my thing. There we go. Minus 10 for Sainz instead of Behrman? No, I don't think a minus 10 is worth it even for Carlos Sainz. Minus 10 Hadjar to Lawson? No. I don't think there's a single cheap driver move worth a minus 10 this week. I didn't even do a minus 10 to get Verstappen in, right? Alonso and Red Bull Racing versus double Williams and Mercedes. That's 2 drivers versus 2 assets versus 3 assets, so I don't really understand how that works. Minus 10 Red Bull Racing over Ferrari. That's closer. If you think Ferrari are gonna stink the place out, go for it. But I don't think Ferrari are gonna be that bad, right? But you could, like, I would rather do that than do like Lawson to Sainz. Yeah, good luck everyone. No negative here or later. I prefer using autopilot here over no negative, especially if you have 2 premium drivers. If you don't have 2 premium drivers, sure, like no negative isn't bad here. I'm not saying no negative is bad here. I'm just so no negative in a sprint weekend build that it's unbelievable. But you kind of know that asking that question of me, like whenever you say no negative in a non-sprint weekend, I'm always gonna say no. So I'm just super biased towards no negative in a sprint weekend. And I'm going to stay that way until they change how the chip works. Or how sprint weekends work. Or how DNFs work. That's the main thing. If they change so DNFs only give you like minus 10 or minus 5 points, that's going to change how I feel about no negative. And probably prefer it for a race such as this. Where's the best for Limitless with the races left? I've been saying either Mexico or literally Abu Dhabi, last race of the season. In my opinion. Or in a sprint weekend if the sprint qualifying looks good for it. But I would say probably Mexico. How do you feel about Antonelli for the Mercedes constructor? Similarly to how I feel about Yuki Tsunoda for the Red Bull Racing constructor, how I feel about Hamilton for the Ferrari constructor, how I feel about Stroll for the Aston Martin constructor, how I feel about Lawson for the V-Cup constructor, how I feel about Albon for the Williams constructor. Yeah. I know that didn't say much, but basically it is what it is. You just hope it doesn't crash. Like, with this team that I have, I'm hoping Kimi Antonelli DNFs. Like, that would be good for me with how many people are buying Mercedes. Whereas, like, people who have Verstappen plus Mercedes teams are hoping that Yuki Tsunoda DNFs. Please rain help, whatever, anything for you, Saints. Autopilot this week for Norris Verstappen. That sounds good. I like that. Autopilot is such a chip that, like, you can use it in any week where you have 2 premium drivers. And it's, like, even better when they're 2 premium drivers from 2 different teams. And especially if you have Norris Verstappen, I think that's a great autopilot use. -10 for moving into 4A is interesting. Yes, and I think that's probably worth it, depending on... Like, if you can get to a 4A for free, which is what I did, I think that's probably better. But -10 for moving into a 4A is probably worth it. At least if we take the simulations into account. Mills says, Alonso and Red Bull Racing versus Albon and Mercedes. I already have signs. Alonso, Red Bull Racing, Albon, Mercedes. I prefer Albon, Mercedes, probably. But it's close. I'm assuming you're running a 3A lineup because you have Albon. And in that case, I prefer Albon. The thing is, like, okay, you're talking about Alonso here. Like, yes, we're saying Alonso is good as a differential pick, but, like, what is his ceiling? What's Alonso's ceiling? Probably, like, 10 points. That's what Albon gets anyway. Is it raining in the race and worth a chip? I think autopilot this week is really good. Raining is a slight chance in the race. But I also feel like if it starts to rain in Singapore, it's gonna pour. Like, it's not gonna be a slight drizzle. And at that point, they're probably just gonna red flag the race, if I'm honest. Which one do you suggest? Albon or Behrman or Lawson? Albon. We have 6 minutes till the deadline, guys. Aisha, you did not review my team, so here it is. Verstappen 2x, cool. Verstappen 2x, cool. Piastri, cool. Bortoleto, cool. Lawson, cool. Sainz, cool. McLaren, cool. Mercedes, cool. I like the lineup. I think Verstappen Mercedes is better than Russell Red Bull. I just can't go for it without taking hits. And I agree, if you have Verstappen Piastri, I think you 2x Verstappen. I don't have autopilot when you put the 2x on Max or Piastri. Max. So, let me say that since we have 6 minutes until the deadline, because people are asking me a lot of similar questions. Look at the elite data. For the same reason that I have been... Okay, when we had triple McLaren teams of Piastri and Norris, I was always on the side of you should 2x Norris because he's the driver that the least people own, right? Like, 2x on Piastri doesn't really give you anything rank-wise. Whereas, like, if Norris performs really well on the 2x and Piastri doesn't, that's a massive swing. It was a massive swing last week when Piastri DNF'd, right? For the same reason that I thought Norris was better than Piastri when you had both, I think Verstappen is better than Piastri on the 2x when you have both. Keep bit of information there when you have both. If you're only picking one premium driver on your team, and you're doing like one premium driver per Albon team, I still think Piastri is the better option over Verstappen. I just think if you have both, you should put the 2x on Verstappen because the upside is immense. $2x on Verstappen or Norris is definitely closer. Like, you could go for either or here. I think, honestly, Norris is probably the better choice, which is crazy to say in terms of differential vibes. But if you have Verstappen Norris, I think autopilot is even better. But you could go for either or there, and for me, it's a toss-up. I would probably put it on Norris. Because I feel like if you're picking Norris over Piastri, like, why are you not 2xing him? You're picking a driver that costs, what, 33 million? No, 31 million, sorry. You're picking a driver that costs 31 million and you're not 2xing him. I feel like you're wasting budget having Lando Norris if you're not 2xing him. I think, like, if you're not planning on 2xing Lando Norris, just have Piastri instead and upgrade your cheap drivers. I think the value in Norris is the 2x. Mercedes, Sainz, or Red Bull Racing and Gasly? Mercedes, Sainz. Would you take a -10 to get Mercedes? It depends on what you sold, B. Miller. It completely depends. Like, that team is good, but it depends on what you sold. Help me, bro. Sure. Ferrari, Albon, Behrman. To Mercedes, Russell, Sainz. Ferrari, Albon, Behrman. Mercedes, Russell, Sainz for a -10. Yes. I think that's worth a -10. Okay, here we have... Okay, good question, Rory. Thank you for saying help me, bro. Because I actually think this is worth a -10 for the simple reason that you're actually moving to a 4A lineup, right? Moving to a 4A lineup, I think, is the thing that warrants the use of a -10. I think that's like literally the only -10 that's worth it. Like, if I had been on 2 free transfers this week instead of 3, I 100% would have done a -10 to get to this team that I have right now. 100%. If I only had 2 free transfers, I would have taken a -10. So I think if anyone has a -10 question, I think it's only worth it if you're using it to actually move to a 4A lineup. And if you can move to a 4A lineup without taking the -10, I think that's better. Take a -10 for Behrman to Sainz? No interstates. Basically what I just said, right? Don't do it to do a free transfer here and there, or to do a transfer between one cheap asset to another. Like, are you actually expecting Sainz to outscore Behrman by 10 points? Red Bull Racing is good? Yeah. Antonelli or Albon? I prefer Albon slightly. I think Antonelli probably has the higher ceiling than Albon, but I think he's riskier. Alright, here's my team and the transfers I made. If you want to see, I posted it on Twitter. 2 minutes until the deadline. We're over on Twitch now. Do you want to take a look at my team activation zone? Yeah, post it in Twitch chat. I'll look at it. But it's not going to change. I've already made my transfer, so it's not going to change what I did, right? So, as always, let me turn up the music. Wow. It's just you and me in silence. I will be doing a watch-along of the qualifying. However, I only do that over on Twitch. So if you're on YouTube, which the majority of you are right now, top of the description, or almost top of the description, is the link to my Twitch channel. So if you want to watch the qualifying with me, you do it over there. The reason why I do that is because YouTube and Twitch work very differently in how their algorithms are calculated. And I've noticed, and there's also proof of this, that on YouTube, when there's a large drop-off in viewers, which I get, people want to go and watch the qualifying on their own, right? You don't have to watch it with me. I just want to be live in case you do want to watch it with me, and I don't have anyone to watch it with anyway, so I just enjoy watching it with chat. But like, when the deadline hits and 200 people leave the stream, YouTube algorithm absolutely just kills your channel and kills the stream entirely. Whereas Twitch is the opposite. Twitch just doesn't care like the fluctuations of viewers. Twitch just wants you to be live for as long as possible. So that's why I always do these watch-alongs on Twitch. I do free practice 1 and sometimes free practice 2 and sometimes free practice 1 watch-alongs on Twitch as well over on Fridays. So you can definitely join me for that. I did one yesterday. That was a great time. We had fun watching all the crashes and red flags. So definitely make sure to follow me over on Twitch for all the watch-along goodies. I might do race watch-alongs in the future as well. It's just usually I like to watch the race itself with my family. We'll see. I don't think actually have any race watching plans tomorrow, which is very unusual for me. I almost always have at least someone in my family or my girlfriend to watch the race with. But I don't actually have that tomorrow, so I might do a watch-along of the actual race tomorrow if you guys are interested. So definitely follow over on Twitch. The qualifying is starting now. Thank you so much for this deadline stream. What did we end the stream on? A solid 197 likes. We're 3 away from 200. Well, you can't hit the goal every day. If you're still here and haven't liked the stream on YouTube, try and make it, hit the 200 mark. That would be pretty cool. And make sure to join me over on Twitch. I'm going to be ending the stream on YouTube now, but I'll stay live on Twitch, so do not go anywhere. Thank you so much for watching on YouTube. Again, thank you so much for watching on YouTube. Stay around on Twitch for the watch-along. And we will get to watch this chaos. How many red flags? Like 3, probably. I think I'm betting on 2 red flags. Two red flags is my bet for qualifying. All right. Where is my YouTube? There we go. Ending stream now. Thank you so much, YouTube. Bye bye. And boom. YouTube is